Alicia Johnson stared at the eviction notice taped to her apartment door. The bold red letters blurred as tears filled her eyes. She had known this was coming, but seeing it there made everything real. The 23-year-old single mother shifted her 6-month-old daughter Maya to her other hip and took a deep breath. "We'll be okay, baby girl," she whispered, though her voice trembled. "Mommy just needs to get this job tomorrow." Inside the small one-bedroom apartment, dishes were stacked in the sink, and baby clothes waited to be washed. Alicia had been working 2 part-time jobs, one at a gas station in the mornings and another cleaning offices at night. But when Maya got sick last month, she had missed too many shifts. The medical bills came, then the final warning, and now this: 7 days to leave. Alicia placed Maya in her crib and pulled out her phone. The screen showed a text message confirming her interview tomorrow at Sunshine Cleaning Services across town. The pay was better than her current jobs, and they offered steady hours. It wasn't her dream, but it would keep a roof over their heads. That night, Maya's fever returned. Alicia sat in the bathroom with the shower running hot, creating steam to help her baby breathe. Maya cried and fussed until 3 in the morning before finally falling asleep in Alicia's arms. Alicia didn't dare move. She leaned her head against the bathroom wall and closed her eyes just for a moment. The alarm on her phone jolted her awake at 6. Her neck ached from the awkward position, and Maya was still warm against her chest. Alicia looked down at her daughter's face, peaceful now, her dark curls damp with sweat. "Just one more thing," Alicia said to herself as she carefully stood up. "Just get through this interview." She called her neighbor Mrs. Porter to watch Maya, but the old woman's phone went straight to voicemail. Alicia tried her cousin next, then a friend from her church group. No one answered. With her interview in 2 hours and no childcare, Alicia made the hard decision to take Maya with her. She dressed in her best outfit, a navy blue skirt and white blouse she kept for special occasions. The skirt was a bit loose now. She had been skipping meals to make the baby food last longer. She put Maya in a clean yellow onesie and packed a bag with diapers, wipes, a bottle, and extra clothes. "We're going on an adventure today," Alicia told Maya as she secured her in the baby carrier. Maya babbled and reached for Alicia's earrings, tiny fingers grasping at the small silver hoops her grandmother had given her for her 18th birthday. The bus stop was 4 blocks away. Alicia walked quickly, checking her watch every few minutes. The summer heat was already building and sweat beaded on her forehead. Maya was heavy against her chest, and the diaper bag kept slipping off her shoulder. When the bus finally arrived, it was crowded with morning commuters. Alicia hesitated at the door. Taking a baby to a job interview was bad enough. A crying baby would guarantee rejection. But she had no choice. She climbed aboard and fumbled with her bus pass while trying to keep Maya from grabbing at the driver's clipboard. "Excuse me," she said softly, trying to move down the aisle. No one looked up. Business people checked their phones, students had earbuds in, workers dozed against windows. The bus lurched forward and Alicia stumbled, nearly losing her balance. A man in a suit reached out to steady her elbow. "Sorry," she mumbled, embarrassed. "No problem," he replied, then returned to his newspaper. Alicia spotted one empty seat near the middle of the bus, next to a man in an expensive-looking gray suit. She made her way toward it, apologizing as the diaper bag bumped against other passengers. The man glanced up as she approached. He had kind brown eyes and a neatly trimmed beard with touches of gray at the temples. He wasn't young, maybe in his early 40s, but his face looked youthful when he smiled at her. "May I?" Alicia asked, gesturing to the empty seat. "Of course," he said, shifting slightly to make more room. Alicia sat down carefully, settling Maya on her lap. The baby immediately reached for the man's shiny watch. "Maya, no," Alicia said, gently pulling her daughter's hand back. "I'm sorry. She likes shiny things." "It's fine," the man said. "How old is she?" 6 months next week, Alicia replied, surprised by his interest. Most people on the bus tried to ignore mothers with babies. "She's beautiful," he said. "Looks like her mom." Alicia smiled despite her exhaustion. Maya did have her eyes and nose, though her curls came from her father, a man who had disappeared when Alicia told him she was pregnant. The bus hit traffic near downtown, slowing to a crawl. Alicia checked her watch nervously. She still had time, but not much. Maya started to fuss, her little face scrunching up in preparation for a cry. Alicia quickly dug through the diaper bag for a pacifier. In her haste, she knocked the bag over, spilling its contents onto the floor. Diapers, wipes, and baby clothes scattered around their feet. "Oh no," she gasped, trying to bend down while holding Maya. "Let me help," the man said, already kneeling, to gather her things. "Thank you," Alicia said, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry." "Nothing to be sorry about," he replied, handing her the refilled bag. "Happens to everyone." Alicia doubted that happened to everyone, especially not to men in suits probably worth more than her monthly rent. But his kindness was welcome on this difficult morning. Maya began to cry in earnest now, her wails cutting through the quiet bus. Alicia bounced her gently, offering the pacifier, but Maya turned her head away. "She's probably hungry," Alicia said apologetically to the man beside her. She reached for a bottle in the side pocket of the bag, but it was empty. In her rush to leave, she had forgotten to fill it. The man beside her watched as Alicia tried everything to quiet Maya. She sang softly, showed her a small toy, even checked her diaper discreetly. Nothing worked. Other passengers began to look their way, some with sympathy, others with annoyance. Alicia felt tears threatening again. This was exactly what she had feared. "Maybe she's tired," the man suggested quietly. "She looks like she's fighting sleep." Alicia nodded. "We were up most of the night. She had a fever." "Is she better now?" "A little. The medicine helped. But she needs rest." Alicia stroked Maya's cheek. "And so do I." The man introduced himself as Daniel Carter, though in her exhausted state, Alicia barely registered his name. She told him hers and about the job interview she was heading to. "Cleaning service?" he asked. "Yes. It's not ideal, but the pay is steady, and they offer health insurance after 3 months." Alicia continued rocking Maya, who was finally starting to calm down. "That's important with a little one," Daniel agreed. As the bus continued its slow journey, Alicia felt her eyelids growing heavier. She had been awake for nearly 24 hours, with only that brief nap against the bathroom wall. Maya's weight in her arms felt like an anchor pulling her toward sleep. She tried to stay awake by watching the buildings pass outside, counting the blocks until her stop. But her body betrayed her. Her head nodded forward, then jerked back up. Once. Twice. Daniel noticed her struggle. "It's still 20 minutes to the business district," he said gently. "Why don't you close your eyes for a bit? I can wake you when we get close." "Oh, I couldn't," Alicia protested weakly, even as her body swayed with exhaustion. "It's no trouble," he insisted. Really. The kindness of this stranger was the final push Alicia needed to give in to her fatigue. "Just 5 minutes," she told herself. "Just 5 minutes of rest." As the bus rocked gently through the city streets, Alicia's eyes closed. Her breathing deepened. Maya, feeling her mother relax, also settled. The baby's eyelids fluttered and closed, her small body warm against Alicia's chest. Without realizing it, Alicia's head slowly tilted sideways until it came to rest on Daniel's shoulder. A small spot of drool formed at the corner of her mouth. In her dreams, she was somewhere safe, somewhere with no eviction notices, or empty refrigerators, or impossible choices. Daniel Carter, CEO of Carter Enterprises, looked down at the young woman and baby sleeping against him. He sat perfectly still, careful not to disturb them. Outside the window, the city rushed by, full of people too busy to notice moments like this. But Daniel noticed, and he didn't move away. Daniel Carter had not planned to take the bus that morning. His black luxury car was in the shop for repairs, and his driver had called in sick. He could have called a car service, but something made him walk to the bus stop instead. Perhaps it was nostalgia. Before he became CEO of Carter Enterprises, he had ridden the city bus every day for years. The weight of Alicia's head on his shoulder felt strange at first. Daniel was not used to people touching him without permission. As the head of a major company, people kept their distance, treated him with careful respect. But this young woman knew nothing about him. To her, he was just another passenger on the morning bus. Daniel looked down at Alicia and her baby. Both were deeply asleep now. The child's tiny hand rested against her mother's chest, rising and falling with each breath. Daniel noticed the frayed edges of Alicia's blouse, carefully mended but showing signs of wear. Her shoes were clean, but the heels were worn down. Even in sleep, her face showed worry lines around her eyes. An older woman across the aisle caught his eye and smiled, knowingly. "Poor dear must be exhausted," she said quietly. "Young mothers have it so hard these days." Daniel nodded but said nothing. He didn't want to wake Alicia with conversation. Instead, he carefully reached into his jacket pocket for his phone, moving slowly so as not to disturb her. He sent a quick text to his assistant. "We'll be late for the morning meeting. Start without me." The bus continued its route through the city. Daniel had planned to get off at the Central Business District, but that stop came and went. He remained seated, Alicia's head still resting on his shoulder. He would catch another bus back after she woke. His meetings could wait. As the CEO of our Carter Enterprises, Daniel's time was considered valuable. His calendar was managed down to 15-minute blocks. People waited weeks for appointments with him. Board members and executives sought his attention. Yet here he was, sitting on a city bus, letting a stranger sleep on his shoulder, watching the minutes tick by. Strange as it was, Daniel felt more at peace than he had in months. Since his wife Linda had died 3 years ago, his life had been all about work. He arrived at the office early and left late. He attended charity events and business dinners alone. His large house stood empty except for him and the weekly cleaning service. The baby, Maya, stirred in her sleep and made a small sound. Without thinking, Daniel gently placed his hand on her back to steady her. The baby settled again, her tiny fingers clutching her mother's blouse. Daniel thought of the child he and Linda had always planned to have but never did. They had been focused on their careers, always thinking there would be time later. Then came Linda's diagnosis, and suddenly there was no more time. His phone buzzed with a message from his assistant. "Board members asking for you. What should I tell them?" Daniel typed back. "Tell them something important came up." And it had, though Daniel couldn't have explained why this moment felt so important. Perhaps it was simply that for the first time in years, someone needed him for something other than his money or his influence. The bus turned onto a street lined with small businesses and apartment buildings. This was far from Daniel's usual part of the city. Here, the sidewalks were cracked and many storefronts had "for rent" signs in their windows. A group of children played on a small patch of grass between buildings, their laughter floating through the open bus windows. Daniel noticed Alicia's phone buzzing repeatedly in the side pocket of her diaper bag. He could see the screen lighting up with calls, but he couldn't reach it without moving and possibly waking her. Instead, he watched as the phone finally went silent. Looking at his watch, Daniel realized they had been riding for nearly 45 minutes. The business district was far behind them now. He wondered about Alicia's job interview. Had she missed it? Should he wake her? But the deep exhaustion on her face made him hesitate. Whatever the interview was, surely she needed rest more. The bus driver called out another stop, and several passengers got up to leave. As they passed, one man gave Daniel a strange look, taking in his expensive suit and the sleeping woman leaning against him. Daniel met his gaze steadily until the man looked away. Daniel had not always been wealthy. He had grown up in a neighborhood not unlike this one, with a single mother who worked 2 jobs to support him and his sister. He remembered the constant worry about money, the electricity being shut off, the careful calculations at the grocery store. His mother had fallen asleep on buses too, bone-tired from working and caring for her children. That was partly why he had started his company's community outreach program, focusing on support for working parents. Carter Enterprises offered scholarships, job training, and affordable childcare. But looking at Alicia, Daniel wondered if his efforts were really reaching the people who needed it most. The bus hit a pothole, and Alicia stirred. Daniel held his breath, but she didn't wake. Instead, she adjusted her position slightly, her head finding a more comfortable spot on his shoulder. A small spot of drool had formed on his suit jacket, but Daniel didn't mind. His phone buzzed again, with a message from his executive team. Investors from Japan are waiting in the conference room. Critical meeting. Where are you? Daniel looked down at Alicia and Maya, then back at his phone. The meeting was important. Millions of dollars were at stake. His board would be furious if he missed it. Yet something kept him seated on the bus. He replied, "Reschedule for tomorrow. Send my apologies." Almost immediately his phone rang. His assistant rarely called, preferring text messages. Daniel carefully shifted to reach into his other pocket and silence the phone without disturbing Alicia. The bus was emptying now as it reached the end of its route. Only a few passengers remained. The driver glanced back at them in his mirror, probably wondering if they had missed their stop. Daniel decided to stay on until the final stop, then take the bus back into the city. He would make sure Alicia woke up before they returned to the business district. Perhaps he could help her reschedule her interview. Carter Enterprises was always looking for dedicated workers, and he had a feeling Alicia Johnson was nothing if not dedicated. The morning sun had fully risen now, streaming through the windows and casting a warm glow over the sleeping pair. Daniel noticed a small scar above Alicia's right eyebrow, barely visible beneath her dark skin. Maya's tiny fingers twitched in her sleep, perhaps dreaming of reaching for something. In this moment they looked peaceful, free from whatever struggles awaited them when they woke. Daniel felt a strange protectiveness toward them, these strangers who had unexpectedly become part of his day. An announcement came over the speaker. Final stop approaching. All passengers must exit the bus. Daniel gently touched Alicia's arm. "Ms. Johnson," he said softly. "Alicia, we're at the end of the line." Alicia didn't stir. Daniel tried again, speaking a bit louder. "Alicia, the bus is at its last stop." Finally, Alicia's eyes fluttered open. For a moment she looked confused, not sure where she was. Then realization dawned on her face as she felt the weight of her head on Daniel's shoulder. She jerked upright, eyes wide with embarrassment. "Oh my God," she gasped, quickly checking on Maya, who was still asleep. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. How long was I?" "It's okay," Daniel assured her, his voice calm. "You were tired." Alicia looked out the window, not recognizing the neighborhood. "Where are we? This isn't downtown. My interview." She grabbed her phone from the diaper bag and her face fell as she saw the missed calls and the time. The interview had been scheduled for 30 minutes ago. "I missed it," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. "It's gone." Daniel watched as she tried to hold herself together, clearly fighting back tears. Maya began to wake up, sensing her mother's distress. "I'm sorry," Daniel said, genuinely meaning it. "Perhaps they would reschedule if you called?" Alicia shook her head, bouncing Maya gently as the baby began to fuss. They were clear there were many applicants. Being late means not wanting the job. Her voice caught. "And I really needed that job." The bus had come to a complete stop now, and the driver was looking at them expectantly. "End of the line, folks," he called. Daniel stood up, offering his hand to help Alicia. She took it after a moment's hesitation, balancing Maya in her other arm. "Thank you for letting me sleep," she said, not meeting his eyes. "And I'm so sorry about your suit." Daniel looked down and saw the damp spot on his shoulder where her head had rested. "It's just a suit," he said with a smile. "There are more important things." As they stepped off the bus into the bright morning sunlight, Daniel made a decision that would change both their lives forever. They stood together at the bus stop, an odd pair in the morning sunlight. Alicia shifted Maya to her other hip, trying to hide how upset she felt. The baby was fully awake now, looking around with curious eyes at the unfamiliar neighborhood. I need to get back downtown, Alicia said, checking the bus schedule posted on the stop. The next bus isn't for 20 minutes. Daniel nodded, looking around at the quiet street. They were in a residential area on the edge of the city. A few small houses lined the road with neatly kept yards despite the clear signs of age and wear on the buildings. I'm heading back that way too, he said. I actually missed my stop earlier. Alicia's eyes widened. You missed your stop? Why didn't you wake me up? Daniel shrugged, a small smile on his face. You needed the sleep more than I needed to be on time. Alicia didn't know how to respond to that. No one had put her needs first in a very long time. She looked down at her feet, noticing a small tear in her stockings that hadn't been there this morning. Your interview, Daniel said after a moment. What was it for? Cleaning position at Sunshine Services, Alicia replied, her voice flat. Morning shifts, decent pay, health benefits after 3 months. And you think they won't reschedule? Alicia shook her head. They made it clear they had plenty of people applying. Being late means not being serious. She swallowed hard. I was serious. I couldn't find anyone to watch Maya, and then she was sick and I was so tired. Her voice trailed off. She didn't want to make excuses, especially not to this stranger in his expensive suit who had already been kinder than he needed to be. What will you do now? Daniel asked quietly. Alicia took a deep breath. Keep looking. I still have my evening job cleaning offices. It's not enough for a new place, but maybe I can find something else quick. The eviction notice gives me 7 days. Eviction? Daniel's voice was sharp with surprise. Alicia wished she hadn't mentioned that. She didn't want pity. It's fine. We'll figure it out. We always do, don't we, Maya? She tickled her daughter's belly, earning a small giggle that made her heart ache with love. Daniel seemed about to say something more when Maya suddenly reached out toward him, her small hands opening and closing in that universal baby gesture of want. She likes you, Alicia said, surprised. Maya was usually shy with strangers, especially men. Daniel hesitated, then held out his finger. Maya grabbed it immediately, her tiny hand wrapping around his much larger one. Her face broke into a toothless grin. She has a good smile, Daniel said softly. It's her superpower, Alicia agreed. Even on the worst days, that smile makes everything better. They stood like that for a moment, connected by Maya's small hand until the baby released her grip to point at a bird landing nearby. The silence between them grew awkward. Alicia felt she should say something. Thank him again, perhaps, but the words felt stuck in her throat. What could she say to this man who had let her sleep on his shoulder and ruin his suit, who had missed his own stop just to let her rest? I should give you my card, Daniel said suddenly, reaching into his jacket pocket. In case you ever need anything. He handed her a small white business card. Alicia took it without looking, tucking it into her pocket. Thank you, that's kind. Of you. Look at it, Daniel said gently. Confused, Alicia pulled the card back out and read it. Her eyes widened as she saw the name and title. Daniel Carter, CEO, Carter Enterprises. She read aloud, her voice barely a whisper. She looked up at him in shock. You're... Yes, he said simply. And I... Alicia felt her face burn with embarrassment. I drooled on your suit. I slept on your shoulder. You're the CEO of Carter Enterprises. Everyone in the city knew about Carter Enterprises. It was one of the largest companies in the state, with a massive building downtown that took up nearly a full block. They made everything from household products to medical equipment, and she had drooled on the CEO's shoulder. I'm so sorry, Alicia stammered. I had no idea. I wouldn't have... What? Sat next to me, fallen asleep? Daniel's voice was gentle with a hint of amusement. Ms. Johnson, I'm just a person like anyone else. But he wasn't like anyone else, Alicia thought. He was the kind of person who had power, influence, money. The kind of person who didn't ride city buses or let strangers sleep on their shoulder. Why were you even on the bus? she blurted out. Daniel laughed, a warm sound that made Maya look at him with interest. My car's in the shop and my driver called in sick. I thought taking the bus would be a nice change. Alicia shook her head in disbelief. And then you got stuck with us. I wouldn't say stuck, Daniel replied. More like fortunate. Before Alicia could respond to that, the bus arrived, earlier than the schedule had indicated. The doors opened with a hiss and the driver looked at them expectantly. You heading back downtown? He asked. Alicia nodded, fumbling in her bag for her bus pass. Daniel stepped forward and held out a bill to the driver. For both of us, he said. Alicia started to protest, but Daniel shook his head. Please, it's the least I can do after making you miss your interview. You didn't make me miss it, Alicia said. That was my fault. Let's say we both played a part, Daniel suggested as they boarded. This time the bus was nearly empty. They took seats near the front, Alicia placing Maya on her lap again. The baby was fully awake now and starting to fuss. She's probably hungry, Alicia said, reaching into the diaper bag for a bottle. She had packed formula, but in her rush that morning, she had forgotten to add water. Oh no. What's wrong? Daniel asked. I forgot to add water to her formula, Alicia explained, feeling like a terrible mother. One more mistake and a morning full of them. There's a convenience store at the next stop, Daniel said. We could get off, get some water, and catch the next bus. Alicia hesitated. Every delay meant less time to look for another job today. But Maya's needs came first. Okay, she agreed. They got off at the next stop and Daniel led the way to a small store on the corner. Inside, he bought not just water but also a sandwich and juice for Alicia, waving away her protests. You need to eat too, he said simply. They sat on a bench outside the store. Alicia mixed the formula and fed Maya, who drank eagerly. Daniel unwrapped the sandwich and handed half to Alicia. Thank you, she said, realizing how hungry she was. She couldn't remember when she had last eaten. As they ate, Daniel seemed to be thinking deeply about something. Finally, he spoke. Ms. Johnson, Alicia, I have a proposition for you. Alicia tensed. She had heard those words before, and they rarely led to anything good for a young single mother. Seeing her expression, Daniel quickly added, a job proposition. At Carter Enterprises. Alicia nearly choked on her sandwich. What? We're always looking for dedicated people, Daniel explained. And anyone who would take their baby to a job interview rather than miss it shows dedication. I don't have any special skills, Alicia said doubtfully. I didn't finish college. I've only ever worked retail and cleaning jobs. Skills can be taught, Daniel replied. Character can't. And you have character, Alicia Johnson. Alicia looked down at Maya, who had finished her bottle and was now contentedly playing with a button on Alicia's blouse. Could this be real? A job at Carter Enterprises would mean stability, a good salary, benefits for Maya. It seemed too good to be true. Why would you do this for me? She asked, looking directly at Daniel. You don't know me. Daniel was quiet for a moment. My mother raised me and my sister alone, he finally said. She worked herself to exhaustion every day, just like you're doing. Someone gave her a chance once, and it changed our lives. He paused. I'd like to pay that forward. Alicia felt tears forming in her eyes, but she blinked them away. She wouldn't. Cry in front of this man, not again. What kind of job? She asked instead. Entry-level administrative position, Daniel said. With training provided. The hours are flexible, the pay is fair, and we have on-site childcare. On-site childcare? Alicia repeated, hardly believing what she was hearing. Daniel nodded. For all employees, it's one of our most important benefits. Alicia looked down at Maya, then back at the man beside her. This morning she had been desperate, on the verge of homelessness, with no prospects. And now, this stranger, this CEO, was offering her a lifeline. It seemed impossible. Things like this didn't happen in real life. Yet here was Daniel Carter, with his kind eyes and gentle voice, offering her a chance. Why don't you come to the office tomorrow morning? Daniel suggested. We can discuss the details. You can see the facilities. And if you're interested, you can start next week. Alicia took a deep breath. She had nothing to lose. Okay, she said softly. Thank you. I'll be there. Daniel smiled, and for the first time that day, Alicia felt a small spark of hope. The next morning, Alicia stood outside the Carter Enterprises building, holding Maya tightly against her chest. The glass tower stretched up into the sky, sunlight reflecting off its windows. People in business suits rushed past her, some talking, on phones, others carrying coffee cups and briefcases. Alicia had spent the night preparing for this meeting. She had washed and ironed her best outfit again, fixed the small tear in her stockings with clear nail polish, and researched Carter Enterprises online at the public library. The company was even bigger than she had realized, with offices in several countries and thousands of employees. She had also called Mrs. Porter, her elderly neighbor, who had agreed to watch Maya today. But at the last minute, Alicia changed her mind. If this company truly had childcare as Daniel claimed, she wanted to see it for herself. So here she was, with Maya dressed in her cleanest outfit, a tiny pink dress with white socks. Are we really doing this? Alicia whispered to Maya, who gurgled in response. This could change everything for us. Taking a deep breath, Alicia pushed through the revolving door into the lobby. Inside, everything gleamed with polished marble and brass. A security guard sat behind a large desk, watching as people swiped cards to pass through gates. Alicia approached the desk nervously. Excuse me, I have an appointment with Mr. Carter. The guard looked up, his expression doubtful as he took in Alicia and the baby. Mr. Carter, the CEO? Yes, Alicia said, trying to sound confident. My name is Alicia Johnson. The guard checked his computer, his eyebrows rising in surprise. Oh, you are on his calendar. He picked up a phone and spoke quietly, then nodded. Someone will be down to get you shortly. Alicia moved to a seating area nearby, perching on the edge of a leather chair. Maya looked around with wide eyes at the busy lobby, reaching toward the shiny floor as if wanting to touch it. A few minutes later, a young woman in a navy blue suit approached them. Ms. Johnson, I'm Patty, Mr. Carter's assistant. Please come, with me. They took an elevator up, the numbers lighting up one after another until they reached the top floor. Maya watched the lights with fascination, clapping her hands when each number lit up. She's adorable, Patty said with a smile. How old? 6 months, Alicia replied, relaxing slightly. She loves lights and anything shiny. Wait until she sees. The childcare center, Patty said. It has an entire sensory wall with different lights and textures. The elevator doors opened onto a floor unlike any office Alicia had ever seen. Instead of small cubicles, there was an open space with comfortable-looking work areas. Large windows offered views of the entire city. Plants and artwork decorated the space, making it feel warm despite its size. Patty led them through the office, to a large corner room with glass walls. Inside, Daniel stood looking at some papers on his desk. When he saw them, he immediately came to the door. Alicia, welcome, he said warmly. And good morning, Maya. He wiggled his fingers at the baby, who reached for him with a smile. Thank you for seeing us, Alicia said formally. She felt nervous again, suddenly aware of the difference between them. Yesterday on the bus, he had been just a kind stranger. Today, in this office, he was clearly a powerful businessman. Come in, please. Daniel gestured to a seating area with comfortable chairs around a small table. Would you like some coffee or tea? Coffee would be nice, Alicia admitted. I didn't sleep much last night. Nervous? Daniel asked as Patty left to get their drinks. Yes, Alicia said honestly. This is all very unexpected. Daniel nodded understandingly. I imagine so, but sometimes the best opportunities come when we least expect them. Patty returned with coffee for both of them and a plate of small pastries. Alicia tried not to stare at the food, though her stomach growled softly. Please help yourself, Daniel said, taking a pastry himself. I never can resist these. Alicia took one, biting into it carefully to avoid getting crumbs on her clothes. It was delicious, filled with sweet cream and berries. Now, Daniel said, setting down his coffee cup. Let me tell you about the position I had in mind. He explained that Carter Enterprises needed someone in their administrative support team. The job would involve filing, data entry, answering phones, and other basic office tasks. The hours would be flexible with the ability to work from home some days. The salary was nearly twice what Alicia had been making at her 2 part-time jobs combined. And the childcare? Alicia asked. That was the most important part to her. Let me show you, Daniel said, standing. It's on the 3rd floor. They took the elevator down, Maya still fascinated by the lighting up of each number. When the doors opened on the 3rd floor, Alicia heard children's laughter immediately. The childcare center took up half the floor. Through glass walls, Alicia could see colorful play areas, cribs for babies and small tables where older children sat drawing or playing with blocks. Workers in bright blue shirts moved among the children, smiling and engaged. A woman approached them, her hand extended. Mr. Carter, good morning. What brings you down to our little world today? Good morning, Susan, Daniel replied. This is Alicia Johnson and her daughter Maya. Alicia might be joining our team soon and I wanted to show her our childcare facilities. Susan turned to Alicia with a warm smile. Welcome. We'd love to have another little one join us. How old is your daughter? 6 months, Alicia said, looking around at the center. It was better than anything she could have imagined. Clean, bright, with plenty of toys and caring adults. Perfect age, Susan said. We have a wonderful infant room with just 4 babies. And 2 caregivers. Would you like to see it? Alicia nodded eagerly. Susan led them through a security door into a quiet room where soft music played. 2 women sat on the floor with babies, reading books and playing with soft toys. Everything looked new and clean. All our staff are trained in early childhood education, Susan explained. We follow each baby's home schedule for feeding and napping. Parents can visit any time during the day and we have cameras so you can check in from your computer. Alicia felt tears forming in her eyes. She had worried so much about childcare since Maya was born. The best she had managed was leaving her, with neighbors or relatives never knowing if Maya was getting proper attention or care. They toured the rest of the center, seeing the toddler rooms, the preschool area, and the outdoor playground with its small garden where children grew vegetables and flowers. What do you think? Daniel asked as they headed back to the elevator. It's amazing, Alicia said honestly. I've never seen anything like it. Back in Daniel's office, they sat down to finish their coffee, which had been kept warm in their absence. So, Daniel said, the job is yours if you want it. You would start next Monday with 2 weeks of training first. Maya can begin in the child care center the same day. Alicia hesitated. It all seemed too good to be true. Mr. Carter, Daniel, please. Daniel, Alicia corrected herself. Why are you doing this? Really? There must be hundreds of people more qualified than me. Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he stood and walked to a small table near his desk. He picked up a framed photograph and brought it back to show Alicia. It was a picture of a woman with dark hair and a kind smile standing next to Daniel. They both looked happy, their arms around each other. This was my wife, Linda, Daniel said softly. She died 3 years ago from cancer. I'm sorry, Alicia said, not sure what else to say. Linda and I always planned to have children. Daniel continued. But we were busy building the company and we thought there would be time later. Then she got sick and suddenly there was no more time. He set the picture down carefully on the table between them. After she died, I threw myself into work. The company grew, we made more money. But something was missing. Linda had always been the one who made sure our success helped others. She started our community programs, our scholarship funds. Alicia listened, wondering where this was going. Yesterday, when you and Maya fell asleep on that bus, Daniel said, it reminded me of something Linda used to say. She believed that success meant nothing if we didn't use it to help others. That a company should be measured not just by its profits, but by the lives it improved. He smiled at Maya, who was playing contentedly with a soft toy that Patty had brought for her. I'm not offering you this job out of pity, Alicia. I'm offering it because our company needs people like you, people with determination, responsibility, and heart. The fact that I can help you and Maya at the same time is a bonus." Alicia looked down at her hands, trying to process everything. "What if I'm not good enough? What if I can't learn the job?" "Then we'll train you more," Daniel said simply. "We'll find a position that fits your skills. But I have a feeling you'll do just fine." Alicia looked at Maya, thinking of their tiny apartment with the eviction notice on the door. She thought of the endless worry about money, about childcare, about the future. And then she looked at Daniel, with his kind eyes and genuine smile. Sometimes, life offered second chances. This was hers. "When do I start?" she asked. Daniel's face broke into a wide smile. "Monday, 9 a.m. But first, let's get you settled in a new apartment. The company owns some residential buildings, and we keep units available for employees who need them." "An apartment?" Alicia whispered, hardly daring to believe it. "Consider it an advance on your first month's salary," Daniel said. "You can move in this weekend." 6 months had passed since that fateful bus ride. Alicia stood in front of her bathroom mirror, smoothing down her new navy blue blazer. The woman who looked back at her was different from the exhausted, desperate young mother who had fallen, asleep on a stranger's shoulder half a year ago. Her face had filled out a bit. The constant worry lines around her eyes softened. Her hair was neatly styled in a simple but professional cut. The blazer was part of the first new outfit she had bought herself in years, purchased with her own money from her steady job at Carter Enterprises. "Maya, sweetie, are you ready?" Alicia called, walking into the living room of their apartment. Maya, now 1-year-old, sat on a colorful playmat, stacking plastic blocks with intense concentration. At the sound of her mother's voice, she looked up and broke into a wide, now toothy smile. "Ma," she said clearly, reaching up her arms to be picked up. Alicia's heart swelled with love and pride. Maya was thriving in the childcare center at work, reaching all her milestones early and growing into a happy, curious child. The caregivers sent Alicia pictures throughout the day, and she could visit during her lunch break, something she did at least 3 times a week. Their new apartment was in a clean, safe building just a 10-minute bus ride from the office. It had 2 bedrooms, a small balcony where Alicia had started growing herbs, and a kitchen with appliances that actually worked. The walls were painted a soft yellow that made the whole place feel sunny even on cloudy days. Alicia picked up Maya and kissed her cheek. "Today is a big day for Mommy," she told her daughter. "The holiday party at work, and I have a surprise for Mr. Carter." She had practiced her speech for days, wanting to get the words just right. Tonight was the annual holiday party for all Carter Enterprises employees. Daniel had asked Alicia to say a few words about the company's childcare program, which was being expanded to include after-school care for older children. At first, Alicia had been terrified at the thought of speaking in front of hundreds of people. But in the months since starting at Carter Enterprises, she had grown more confident. Her job and administrative support had quickly expanded as her skills and abilities became clear. Now she helped coordinate the community outreach programs, using her own experience to identify what families truly needed. The doorbell rang, and Alicia opened it to find Mrs. Rivera from across the hall, a kind grandmother who often watched Maya when Alicia needed to work late. "There's my little angel," Mrs. Rivera exclaimed, holding out her arms for Maya, who went to her happily. "Thank you so much for watching her tonight," Alicia said, gathering Maya's diaper bag. "I shouldn't be too late. The party ends at 9. "Take your time," Mrs. Rivera assured her. "Maya and I will make cookies and read stories. You enjoy yourself." Alicia kissed Maya goodbye and headed for the bus stop. Snow was falling lightly, the first of the season, making the city look magical in the early evening darkness. Christmas lights twinkled in windows and around trees lining the street. At the Carter Enterprises building, the lobby had been transformed with elegant decorations. A massive Christmas tree stood near the elevators, covered in silver and blue ornaments. Employees and their guests mingled, holding glasses of champagne and small plates of food. Alicia spotted Patty, Daniel's assistant, who had become a good friend over the past months. Patty waved her over, looking festive in a red dress with a sparkly pin. "You look amazing," Patty said, giving Alicia a quick hug. That color is perfect on you. Thanks, Alicia replied, feeling a flutter of nerves in her stomach. Is Daniel here yet? Patty shook her head. Running late as usual. Board meeting ran long. He should be here soon. Are you ready for your speech? Alicia nodded, touching the folded paper in her pocket. I think so. I'm nervous but excited too. You'll be great, Patty assured her. Oh, wait until you see what Daniel is announcing tonight. It's amazing. What is it? Alicia asked curiously. Patty grinned. Can't tell. But it has to do with the outreach programs you've been working on. Before Alicia could ask more, a ripple of awareness moved through the crowd. Daniel had arrived. He moved through the lobby, stopping to speak with employees, shaking hands and laughing at jokes. He had a gift for making everyone feel seen and valued, from the cleaning staff to the top executives. When he spotted Alicia, his face broke into a warm smile. He made his way to her, stopping to greet others along the path. Alicia, he said when he reached her. You look wonderful. Where's Maya tonight? With my neighbor, Mrs. Rivera, Alicia replied. It's past her bedtime. Daniel nodded understandingly. I was hoping to see her, but another time. Are you ready for your speech? As ready as I'll ever be, Alicia said with a nervous laugh. You'll be perfect, Daniel assured her. Just speak from your heart, like you did in our community planning meeting last month. That's why I asked you to do this. The program began with dinner in the large conference center on the second floor. Daniel gave a short welcome speech, talking about the company's growth over the past year and thanking everyone for their hard work. Then came several awards for long-term employees and special achievements. Finally, it was time for Alicia's part. Daniel introduced her, mentioning how she had quickly become an essential part of the community outreach team. Alicia walked to the small stage, her heart pounding. She looked out at the sea of faces, many of whom she now knew well. Taking a deep breath, she began to speak. 6 months ago, I got on a city bus with my baby daughter. I was exhausted, desperate, and about to be evicted from our apartment. I was on my way to a job interview for a cleaning position that I badly needed. The room was completely silent now, everyone listening intently. That morning, I fell asleep, on the shoulder of a kind stranger who let me rest instead of waking me up. That stranger turned out to be Daniel Carter, your CEO, and that simple act of kindness changed my life forever. Alicia went on to tell her story, how Daniel had offered her a job and given her and Maya a chance at a new life. She spoke about the childcare center, how it allowed parents like her to work without constant worry about their children. The program Daniel created doesn't just provide childcare, she said. It gives parents dignity. It says that our roles as parents are valued alongside our roles as employees. And now, with the expansion to include after-school care, even more families will benefit. As she finished her prepared remarks, Alicia looked directly at Daniel. I didn't plan to add this, she said, her voice strong and clear. But I want to say thank you, not just for myself and Maya, but for all the employees whose lives are better because of your vision and generosity. You didn't just give me a job that day. You gave me back my hope. The room erupted in applause. Alicia saw many people wiping away tears, including Patty. Daniel himself looked moved, his eyes bright with emotion. When Alicia returned to her seat, Daniel took the stage again. He waited for the applause to die down before speaking. Thank you, Alicia, he said. Your words mean more than you know. He paused, gathering himself. And they lead perfectly into what I wanted to announce tonight. He clicked a button, and a screen behind him lit up with the words, The Lynda Carter Foundation. Many of you knew my late wife, Linda, Daniel continued. She was the heart of this company, always pushing us to do more for our community. Tonight, I'm proud to announce the creation of the Lynda Carter Foundation, which will focus on supporting working parents and their children. The room filled with applause again. Daniel raised his hand to quiet them. The foundation will fund childcare centers like ours in companies across the city. It will provide scholarships for single parents pursuing education, and it will create a mentorship program connecting experienced professionals with parents returning to the workforce. He smiled at Alicia. And I'm pleased to announce that Alicia Johnson has agreed to serve as the Foundation's first program director, bringing her unique perspective and tremendous heart to this important work. Alicia gasped. This was the first she had heard of this. Daniel had mentioned expanding her role, but nothing like this. The salary would be double what she made now. She would be helping people like herself on a much larger scale. As people around her clapped and offered congratulations, Alicia felt tears of joy in her eyes. From the lowest moment of her life on that bus to this, it seemed impossible, yet it was happening. Later, as the party wound down, Daniel found her near the Christmas tree. Are you happy about the new position? He asked. Beyond happy, Alicia said. But are you sure I'm qualified? Daniel smiled. More than qualified. You've lived it, Alicia. You know what people need because you've been there. That's something no amount of education can provide. Alicia thought of Maya, sleeping peacefully at Mrs. Rivera's apartment. She thought of their new home, her growing savings account, and the future that now seemed bright with possibility. Thank you, she said simply. For everything. No, Daniel replied. Thank you. That day on the bus, you reminded me of what truly matters. In a way, you and Maya saved me as much as I helped you. Outside, the snow continued to fall, covering the city in a blanket of white. Inside, surrounded by light and warmth, Alicia Johnson knew that sometimes life's greatest blessings could come from the most unexpected moments, even falling asleep on a stranger's shoulder on a city bus.